here we are with the start of our next little Barford Atom mission. As you can see, cylinder heads off and side covers off. Taking this off just to determine what's going on inside. So I think I'm going for new piston rings because there's quite a bit of movement around there and a ticking noise backwards and forwards. So I can see the ring down there in the gap, but yeah, there's a lot of compression being lost, I think. Even when it's at the very bottom of the bore, I can rock that around quite happily with my finger. So I think Uncle's were right, and yeah, she needs some piston rings quite badly. Down the bottom is excessive compared to up the top here. Yeah, I had a good look. I don't know how well this focuses. My phone was a little bit better because it had the extra torch on it shining into there. No, this one isn't going to show up the wear. There's a little bit of wear in the bore and a little tiny bit of a lip forming about 3 or 4 mil down from the top. But I'm just going to try my best to take this motor off. I've got to lift the motor carefully, completely on this side. If I come around here, I think I can remove the wheel and the axle. I think I have to take this outer cover off. There's a chain drive down to there, and I think I can't remember what's holding that cover on from the inside. I think there's just a hub in there that needs to come off, and hopefully I can get this whole thing to come away with a couple of bolts undone around here in one go, and then I can try and drop the sump. Like, I'll probably hang the engine somehow, suspend the engine, drop the sump off, undo the couple of bolts on the conrod to be able to slide the piston and conrod up through the bore, hopefully, without taking the crank off and out, because I don't really want to have to mess around with this. Like, the timing and everything and the way this whole flywheel set up and everything comes off is very, very intricate. Yeah, I remember not wanting to mess with it too much when I had it apart last time. So, and also the carburetor, I've had issues with fuel leaks, and this has been sealed up in a way that I'd rather not mess with it if I don't have to. So yeah, okay, that's where we're at. I'm going to try and get this off. Sourcing these piston rings is proving to be quite difficult here in New Zealand. So anyways, we'll carry on. I'll probably update you when I get the engine off and hanging in the air and figure out how I can split it to get this oil pan. Obviously I've got to drain the oil first, so yeah, getting everything off the machine is going to be the next bit. Alright, see ya. So slowly getting into this thing. Next little update, wheels and axles are off and the covers, and I took the tank right off just to stop scratching that, so things are hidden away under the trailer there for safekeeping. You might have noticed I've learnt to stay a little bit tidier, got my tools organised and parts organised. So anyways, yeah, got the clutch out. I'm thinking now with everything, once I disconnect that throttle cable from in there, once I take the 3 bolts out that hold the engine to this chassis frame, whatever you want to call it, I'll be able to slide it slightly away from the shaft, get that output shaft, and then I can go up on the bench. Might be a bit difficult to get to a couple of bolts in there to split the oil pan from the rest of the block, but I think if I can get those 4 bolts undone, then I can drop the oil pan off the bottom and have a looky nose and see what's going on underneath there. So I might actually drain the gearbox oil if it's got anything left in it, because most of it's out all over the frame, all over the bottom. Oh yeah, there's still plenty of oil in the bottom there, so I'll drain that out. Yeah, while I've got this up, I'll take the side cover off the reduction box and make a new gasket. I reused the old one and it's clearly not sealed, and you can smell it, it's gear oil, it's not engine oil. So But while I've got that oil pan off the bottom, obviously I'm going to have to do a new gasket for there. And we'll just check on the seal, the main seals between the gearbox, that reduction box and the crank side. Make sure everything's okay. But yeah, just thought I'd give you a little update, see where we're at with taking it apart again. Probably saw this if you followed the Grandad Mac playlist, seeing me putting everything together the first time around. So anyways, yeah, I'll undo those bolts and lift this motor off onto the bench and we'll take it from there. So steady progress is being made. I've got the reduction box off the side there, drained what remaining oil there was. Yeah, bugger all, so it's been leaking real bad along this bottom of this gasket. So the other half is down here with the gasket. The gasket came off hold, it just wasn't sealing properly for some reason, so I'll remake a whole new gasket, I think. That's the bottom edge, so that would have been some decent light. That would have been the offending area there with, I don't know, not really sure. But anyways, we'll get it sealed up properly when I put it back together next time. Drain the engine oil out. So drain plug, just set that up and had it draining on a block of wood for 10 minutes. So the oil's a pretty nasty colour. Where are we in that jar? Yeah, so that's probably a sign of the combustion pushing past the rings and maybe putting soot down into the sump, I don't know. It didn't smoke when it was running, so that was kind of weird. The oil isn't coming up past the rings, but maybe the compression's going down into the sump, I have no idea. Anyways, I've got the bolts on the ends loose in here to break it apart and drop the oil pan off. So what I'm going to do is flip it upside down, a couple of blocks of wood to sit it on, and we'll drop the oil pan, see if I can't undo the bolts on the bottom of the con rod. I've never seen on the inside of the bottom of one of these. The Briggs and Strattons I've done from the side, but never done, I believe, from the bottom. So I'll show you that bit next and see how we go. Okay, that was relatively simple. Yeah, 4 bolts come out, oil pan's there. Oil pan is very, very black on the bottom. Yeah, you can see where I ran my finger through it, so I'll get all of that cleaned out, sludgy. There's no metal, can't see anything sparkling, so that's a good sign. Down here looks like it's a reasonably easy job to drop this piston, so everything lines over. There's our con rod, nuts and bolts there. I think there's a little split pin through each, which I'll have to remove. A little tiny castellated nut on the bottom. Biggest thing will be if there's a bolt, if it's a bolt, getting something on the other side to hold it, but I don't think there is. Can have a look through there. Don't know, won't know until I start trying to undo them, but they put them together somehow, so they've got to come apart again somehow, don't they? While I was in here, just checking the governor, and that's all fine. That was my other thought, was something had packed up and jammed the governor, but that's those are the little centrifugal weights that pop out there as it spins, so they all move freely as they should. I mean, it's upside down, but they move freely, and the little plunger comes in and out onto the governor lever to the outside, which goes to the carb, all upside down at the moment. So let's take these little circlips, these little split pin clips out of here and undo those nuts. See what happens. Try and see if the piston will fall out on the floor. Right, cool. Okay, so this is what I wanted to accomplish for the night. I've gone hands-free here on the tripod. So I have, I'm just going to oh shit, is that bearing material gone somewhere? I don't know. Having a little play in there. Anyways, this is the oil dipper in the bottom. I took the little pins out, put them down there. So there's the little, got the little, one was half gone, so I don't know, I haven't found it anywhere, so I don't think it was in there from manufacturer. So there's a little split pin, 2 little castellated nuts in the oil dipper. I can push the piston down the bore, so I'm going to move the oil pan. I'm going to lay this on its side and slide the piston out, so you'll see it at the same time as me. Well, not really, you'll see it a couple of weeks after me because you don't get to watch the video tomorrow. What's that? bit of gasket paper, don't know. Okay, so let's see if the piston will push out of the top. There we go. There we go. 3 rings, just like a circus. Yay! See that coming out of there? Yeah. So she's pretty manky. None of the rings are broken, which is good. That was the worry, was that one might be broken and be scoring up the bore, but it's not. All 3 are intact. Okay, so next mission is going to be just to sit this back. I might put the oil pan back on the bottom just so that it can sit flat on the bench, and then I'm going to pop the rings off the piston, slide the rings down into the bore as you'd normally test them, and just see what the ring gaps are like. So yeah, cool bananas. I'll just chuck that oil pan back on and be with you in a second. So I don't even know if I need to zoom the camera in for you to see that ring gap from there. Yeah, so this is the top compression ring, and it's just sat in the bore, and then I just sit it down with the piston to make sure it's sitting square and level. And far out, that ring gap is ridiculous. Unfortunately, on the way out, well, not on the way out, when I was trying to get the rings apart off the piston, I snapped my oiler ring. But they're that buggered anyway, that no matter what I do, I need a new set of piston rings. This is just as thin. The middle ring not as bad as that top compression ring. Let's just, I'll show you this one first, and then I'll show you the second one. I obviously can't do the water one anymore, but that gap, you know, you could drive a bus through that. That's just no wonder she was down on power. But hey, this thing is from 1940s, probably still got the original rings in it. I doubt that this has been apart before. Yeah, okay, so let's just, sorry for the shaky hands, pop that one out. Doing this single-handed. Sit this ring, hey, nearly lost it. Sit that ring in, I'll just pull it up a little bit closer to the top for you. And then we will sit the piston on top just to square it. And we'll have a look at that gap there. So see, not as bad as the very top one, but still, that's an excessive ring gap. These rings are way far gone. So that's where my compression's all disappeared to, and pretty obvious with that black sludgy sump that the carbon has been going past the rings and getting pushed down. So the compression, the pressure's gone down into the sump. I would have thought that would have pressurized and pushed oil up at least somewhere and made it real smoky while it was running, but clearly not. So anyways, yeah, the inside of the head and everything was still clean as. Well, when I say clean as, clean enough. I don't want to lose and drop the bolts out of here, but there we go. So that's the underneath of the cylinder head. So no major carbon build-up. I mean, when I redid this to put back on the machine, I just took the head off, cleaned the carbon, gave it a valve grind, and sent it. So yeah, that goes back in there. So yep, she's staying like this, so it won't be getting put back together until I can source new piston rings. The best I've found so far is on, I can't remember the name of the website, L&S Engineers, I think they are, somewhere in the UK, and they're 40 thou oversize, so that's almost a millimetre in our New Zealand metric terms. 40 thou oversize, so almost a millimetre bigger in bore. I'm not going to get this bored out. Trying to find someone that can do that for me, and you know, for the expense and the money involved, stripping the entire block completely. Like I said, all the stuff in the ignition system is pretty crazy. Don't want to muck around with that again. So I've emailed them to see if they've got standard ring size, and we'll see where we go from there. Also put a post out on Facebook looking for piston rings. So if I get this video out and you've got ideas, obviously if you watch this video to the end, it might not be back together. I might just send this out as it is for a little bit of a plea for help. If you can find me some piston rings anywhere in the world, and buy them and email them to me. email me some piston rings through the internet, because postage is ridiculously expensive. Yeah. Righto, Bluetooth piston rings. Maybe I should do that. I don't need them. Bluetooth piston rings, they might work. I don't know. All good, I might end this video off here, and we'll make a second one if and when I get piston rings to put it back together. So yeah, I guess for now I can mess around with making my gaskets for that, and doing the gasket for the bottom, and just see what turns up parts wise. So I've got an old Briggs & Stratton set of piston rings, so I might check them and see what they're like for size. Don't know yet. All good. Okay, see you later.